Eric. Okay, we have a full, I'm going to be moving some things around on the agenda, so most of you don't have to stay longer than you have to. So we'll move on to invocation by Mary Rysdale, Hemet San Jacinto Interfaith Council, followed by Pledge of Allegiance by Mayor Pro Tem Brown. Please stand.
Good evening. O thou forgiving God, these servants are turning to thy kingdom and seeking thy grace and bounty. O God, make their hearts good and pure, in order that they may become worthy of thy love. Purify and sanctify the spirits, that the light of the Sun of reality may shine upon them. Purify and sanctify the eyes, that they may perceive thy light. Purify and sanctify the ears, in order that they may hear the call of thy kingdom. O Lord, verily we are weak, but thou art mighty. Verily we are poor, but thou art rich. We are seekers, and thou art the one sought. O Lord, have compassion upon us and forgive us. Bestow upon us such capacity and receptiveness that we may be worthy of thy favors and become attracted to thy kingdom, that we may drink deep of the water of life, may be enkindled by the fire of thy love, be resuscitated through the breaths of the Holy Spirit in this radiant century. O God, my God, cast upon this gathering the glances of thy loving kindness. Keep safe all and each in thy custody and under thy protection. Send down upon these souls thy heavenly blessings. Immerse them in the ocean of thy mercy and quicken them through the breaths of the Holy Spirit. O Lord, bestow thou gracious aid and confirmation upon this just government. This country lies beneath the sheltering shadow of thy protection, and this people is in thy service. O Lord, confer upon them thy heavenly bounty, and render the outpourings of thy grace and favor copious and abundant. Suffer this esteemed nation to be held in honor, and enable it to be admitted into thy kingdom. Thou art the powerful, the omnipotent, the merciful. Thou art the generous, the beneficent, and the Lord of grace abounding. Amen.
Everyone, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our nation's flag. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now's the time when we move on to City Council business. First item on the agenda is consent calendar. Contains items which are typically routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion by the council unless an item is removed for discussion by a member of the public, staff, or council. If you wish to discuss a consent calendar item, you'll need to come to the podium, and you'll have 3 minutes to do so, correct? Okay, Sarah, was there anyone from the public that wanted to pull an item? Was there any staff? Yeah. Okay. And anybody from council?
14.
Okay. And I would just like to make a comment on item 3. Anybody else?
3, 7, and 15.
That said, so we have 3, 7, 14, and 15. Is that correct? Okay. May I have a motion to
Move to approve.
approve the other items, please?
Second.
Okay. Oh, that's me because of. There you go. And that passes 5-0. Okay, item number 3, Carly.
I'm just not going to vote for this until we get it changed. So
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear that.
I am not going to vote for this until we get it changed. It's been 2 years.
Okay, and my comment on this particular item was that looking through it, I see that there are a few that are reaching maturity rather quickly in the investment policy or portfolio, and I would like to be able to meet with staff and go over some of those items to see if some of them should be dealt with in a different manner instead of rolling over, whatever ones that we can do to better invest some of that portfolio.
And I think that's the purpose of the investment committee,
Yeah. Well,
is when we meet with staff and make those recommendations. But
right. Well, have you?
we have a meeting coming up.
Okay, great. Thanks. Okay, item number 7. Oh, that's right. Motion on 3. I have a motion.
Yes, I'll approve with the conditions set forth.
Okay. May I have a second? Oops.
I'll second.
Please vote. Next, item number 7. Recommendation by Human Resources.
Going through the packet, there's a presumption that is a temporary position, but it's not stated in there, and so I didn't know if we needed to clarify that so that we will not forever have a deputy city clerk, or maybe we are going to have one.
We probably don't know until we see the type of individual that is hired, and whether that individual will work into taking Sarah's place on it. So really haven't given any thought to whether it's temporary or interim, but it is part of the condition to allow her to retire. We're also getting ready to advertise for a city clerk to see if we can do it that way. So we're going both ways.
So I move to approve number 7 with the stipulation that we reevaluate its position in a year,
Idea.
18 months, whatever it needs to be.
And do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Please vote. No, that's a yes. No, my button won't move any further, it won't change.
So that's supposed to be 5.
It's supposed to be 5-0, yes. Thank you very much. Next item, number 14.
Good evening, Chief.
Good evening. What can I do for you?
I just had a few questions on the revision. I'm pretty sure it's apparent why the revision is coming forward. It's a cost savings measure. But one of the questions I have, it wasn't really clear in the staff report or the proposal from the school district of the allocation of time, or if that's going to be and which school sites the remaining school resource officers are going to be assigned to, or if that's totally at the discretion of the police department.
Right. So during the discussions with the school district, it's not only is it a cost savings measure for them, but it's also a philosophical change. They're trying to move more towards an internal security force than actual police officers on campus. So we have had discussions with the school district. I believe that the decision right now is to leave one SRO at each high school and then have the other SRO primarily assigned to the Santa Fe, what we would call the campus over there with the Help School, and they've got three or four other entities working out of that area, and then they would also float between the middle schools.
You know, an observation, I guess, that I think there's some abstract benefits to having a school resource officer program above and beyond just school site security. There's a number of things relationship-wise where students have an opportunity to have positive interaction with police officers, and for the officers to have positive interaction with the students and cultivate a meaningful rapport. So I think I hate to see a reduction in the police officers on campus for those reasons, because I think there's a lot of benefit to be derived downstream from having that. So I understand the cost savings, that it's more cost effective to hire private security, but the real benefit, in my opinion, of that whole program is more on the abstract than it is on just school site security.
Yeah, and believe me, I actually feel the same way. I just think it's more of a philosophical change. They really want to cut down in suspensions and expulsions as part of their real emphasis now with their discipline policies. That, of course, increases their per capita costs that they bring in, the revenue from the state. So I do believe it's more than just the cost savings, but that, of course, always is an issue.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Anything else?
No? It was at the request of the school, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, do we have a motion to approve?
I move approval.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We'll just point at each other. Please vote. And that passes 5-0. Next item, number 15.
My comments are for council, not necessarily for staff, but we implemented a freeze on purchasing vehicles except out of Measure U money.
I'm sorry.
And we did that at the time that we approved our budget. So first of all, we're going back on what we said.
Carly, would you repeat that first sentence you said, because I won't.
We implemented a freeze on purchasing vehicles when we put our budget in place, except for Measure U money. So this would be in contrary to that. Even though it's coming out of the vehicle replacement fund, we voted no for our public works department that uses a vehicle as a daily function. And this is a take-home vehicle for a part-time employee. So I'm not even sure why this is on our agenda if we've already made it like our wishes clear as a council.
Any other comments from council?
Chief, just for clarification, it's no longer a part-time position. Council approved it as a full-time position.
That's correct. It's a full-time position as of the 16-17 budget. Also, clarification, this is not a take-home vehicle. This is a vehicle used daily by the emergency services coordinator in the conducting of her business on a daily basis. As you know, with a full-time position now, our EST is engaged on a countywide level. We have the ability to call her back, and we've done that multiple times within this budget year to assist us with incident support. As you know, she's taken an even bigger role in coordinating disaster management response, including our CERT coordination. The bottom line with the vehicle that we have now, it's just simply worn out. And we looked at the cost benefit on paper. The vehicle that we have now that's being utilized has a value of $3,000. We've got about $4,000 of repairs that are needed. I told our fleet services to not make those repairs, and we do have fund balance in our vehicle replacement fund to cover this purchase of the vehicle. I consider this an essential part of our inventory for emergency response.
Chief, I know you mentioned at one time you're moving in the direction of firefighter rehab and involving potentially CERT, but currently using the emergency services coordinator primarily to take the lead in that role. Is that?
That is correct. In fact, we have engaged on a number of incidents, including support of our recent parade for our residents and for council's benefit. We have to plan in terms of large incident management support. So we have the benefit of our EST response coming to helping set up the command post and being part of our command staff to manage those types of incidents. So it is part of our active plan, part of making that position full-time and part of the deliverables for the job responsibilities that we committed to this council about.
And so far as the firefighter rehab role, would it be your vision that that vehicle that you're proposing would be the vehicle that would be used for that purpose?
Absolutely. It has that utility function. Might add that this is a bare bones vehicle. We're doing the uplift here internally. We've identified a surplus light bar that we're going to be utilizing. We're simply putting a charging unit in the vehicle for the keeping the portable charge. So this is, from my experience and perspective, a bare bones but essential piece of equipment that we need to conduct our daily business.
Kind of read my mind, and my next question was the transfer of radio equipment and emergency equipment from the current vehicle. Do you envision any need to purchase additional hardware or emergency equipment?
You know, we've already purchased the handheld radios, so we have a handheld assigned. The radio that's in the unit now is broken, hasn't worked in a number of years, and it's just representative of some of the stuff that we're trying to address and fix and bring up to par.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Council?
Just seems that we have a lot of extra fire vehicles when you go by the yard over by, well, actually right around at the gate. And so if all those trucks and random things are worthless, then why do we still have them all?
Can you speak to that, Chief?
Absolutely can. What our plan is, we'll be surplusing those vehicles as soon as we have an adequate replacement. Until such time, we need the vehicle inventory. We have 3 utilities, 2 stations at Station 1. We have 2 Crown Victorias. We've surplused 1. We've given 1 to the police department that they've cycled to be utilized by their volunteer corps. So our plan, as soon as we get a suitable replacement vehicle, we'll be making the transition to surplus the vehicles that we have in place. So 3 utilities that we have, Crown Victoria, and they'll be rotated as soon as we get the vehicle replacement.
And how many F-150s do we have?
We have 3 F-150s. This vehicle is a 1997 F-250, and that's the one that presently is assigned to the ESC. The only thing that we're going to purchase is the sticker that goes on the door, and that's a standard fee. We already have the artwork designed and all that. It's going to be a white pickup truck.
I was going to say, when I saw the price of the truck, I'd be hard pressed to find an F-150 truck for $26,000. So I figured it had to be pretty bare bone. But thank you for the clarifications.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, could I have a motion, please?
I move approval of staff recommendation.
Please vote.
That passes 4-1.
Thank you.
Next we go on to presentations, and I would like the entire council to be involved in this. First one is item 16, introduction of the 2019 Miss Hemet Scholarship Pageant Program title holders. Is the gal here?
Good evening, Council. How are you? For those of you who don't know, my name is Miguel Soros. I am the Executive Director for the Valley Queens Scholarship Foundation, a.k.a. Miss San Jacinto. We are a long-standing tradition in our San Jacinto Valley, for those of you who don't know, that goes all the way back to 1947. And here we are in 2019. And this evening we'd like to introduce to you your 2019 title holders who were chosen from over 22 candidates who presented themselves on November 25th. And I think you'll be quite pleased. These ladies are amazing and very dedicated to the community if you haven't seen them already. So I'm going to allow them the opportunity to come and introduce themselves.
Good evening. My name is Valerie Van Beer, and I am Mrs. Hemet. And my platform for the Valley is to have intergenerational community centers where we have the elderly and the young come together and do crafts, learn from each other, all under one roof, where there's grandparents who don't have grandchildren and grandchildren who don't have grandparents. I want them to get together, have a good time, and bring the valley closer together. It's fun.
Great idea. I love that platform. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Diana Villa. I am your Miss Hemet 2019. A little bit about myself is I am 18 years old. I go to Cal Baptist University. I went to Hemet High School, and my platform this year is TH East Center, which is actually the only therapeutic place in our valley that specializes with special needs and disabilities through equine therapy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Crystal Bandit, and I am your new Miss Teen Hemet 2019. I currently go to Hemet High School, and I am a sophomore. My platform is auditory processing, which is I struggle from it in school, which is very hard because I can't do my work. Yeah. Thank you.
Through the generous support of City Council, through our community event funding and the Soboba Foundation, we're proud to be one of the most highly attended, participated scholarship program in California, which is really, I'm very proud of this program. And then additionally to the amount of scholarship that we're awarding to our title holders who are attending higher educational goals. I want to say that we've hit almost over $60,000 that has gone back to the young women in our community. So again, Council, I want to thank you for all that you do for our program and for your community. So thank you.
Any council members have any comments? Oh, yeah. Want to do a picture?
I do have to say that they have been very prominently visible at just about every major event in the valley, and in the news media too.
Thank you, appreciate that.
I have to say, this is a great commitment on those that are chosen, because they're everywhere. They're at every event. They certainly are seen throughout the community all year long. So we really appreciate what you do to represent the city. Thank you. Behave, Dan. Okay, next item, communications from the public. Anyone who wishes to address the no? Oh my gosh. See, this agenda is so large, I'm just waiting to get through it. Okay, one of the most important things tonight, the presentation of the awards for the 2018 Hemet Christmas Parade, which, by the way, this year was absolutely fantastic. So if Stephanie Borders will come up, and I would like council to take part in all these presentations as well. So, huh? Okay. Come on, get up. Pass it. Pass it.
don't know how many of you, okay, I don't know how many of you here actually got to see the parade, but we had over 4,200 people this year. It keeps getting higher and higher. 7 entries, which was amazing. They all participated calmly, rationally. They followed directions. I don't know what to say. It was wonderful. We couldn't have done it without our city public works people, the police department, and most importantly, the volunteer police department. Would you guys stand up and take a bow, please? The volunteers really put themselves on the line every time we do an event like this. They're the ones that people yell at because they make them follow the rules and know you can't go down the street because it's filled with people. Or they're the ones that yell at me like, Stephanie, you're really not supposed to go down that street right now. And I'm going, I know, but I have to. So it's it's a thankless job, and there's never enough words to say thank you. So we appreciate everything that you guys do. All right, I'm not sure because I didn't get to check everybody in. We're going to start off with the middle school band. Is anybody here from Dartmouth Middle School? No. We had 10 bands, school bands throughout our district this year. That's the highest number we've had. The furthest band was Hamilton High School and middle school combination. It was exciting, and I'm glad I wasn't a judge because I wouldn't be able to pick just one winner in each category. So they were the middle school band winners. For our antique auto, we had Second Life Car Club. Come on forward. This is pretty prestigious for them. It's the first time they've been in the parade and they're a winner. Thank you for participating this year. We have 8 categories in the parade, and it's really difficult for the judges because sometimes we're not sure, is it a marching unit, is it a decorated walking, is it a float that has people walking with it, or is it a drill team? But this year it wasn't hard for them to pick. This was for the decorated walking unit, and it goes to the San Jacinto Unified School District and Habitat for Humanity Fun for the Run Challenge. Did I get all that in?
We're having a dino stomp and sit, so live music, drink, and eat and enjoy, so it's going to be really fun dance. You're a little bit of a battery.
We're really fortunate in this district that we have so many ROTC units. Counting the middle schools that participate, there's 5 in the Valley, and 4 out of those 5 participate. This year, the winner goes to West Valley ROTC. Our Grand Marshal this year, our theme was From the Silver Screen. Christmas movies that made you feel inspired, made you feel happy. I know a lot of you like It's a Wonderful Life. Not so much. We even had people ask about Bruce Willis's Die Hard movie because it came out at Christmas time. I'm still looking for the correlation. I don't understand that one, but maybe you guys can help me with that. Anyway, our Grand Marshal this year was Hammond High School Drama Department, and I know they're here.
I will say, Die Hard was in the running.
Okay. I'm glad you guys didn't pick that. High school bands, we had 4 high schools participating this year, and our winner was San Jacinto High School.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Stephanie did a great job. Yeah, she's busy.
When you watch our parade, we know that we have the antique autos because we've already announced the winner. We also have a lot of groups that just have a lot of vehicles and they really don't fit into any particular thing. But this year, I can't say it's only this year. This group stands out every year, but they have not been recognized or won for at least 10 years that I know of. It's Hemet Valley Baptist Church. They brought all the antique tractors and then they had them pulled with trailers and they had their Awanas Club on it. It really was a representation of our city. This group, I think, had the most fun actually in the parade. Certainly the people watching them cheered and laughed for them and stuff. They've been a great influence in our valley. They've given a direction to the youth that maybe didn't know where they should go. They found a home. My City Youth.
You've been chilly.
Now, what would a parade be without animals and horses? This group is called Taqueria John Chava. It's also part of an insurance company, and I don't have that information from me, so I apologize. And Sal, if you're here, you can say it when you get up. But a parade needs horses, and these are the beautiful Mexican horses that you see riding in the parade. Are you here tonight? Anybody? All right. I'm going to do a lot of driving tomorrow delivering these trophies. And then our last trophy we wanted to present was to Hamilton High School. This is the first year they've been in our parade. They've come the farthest. They made a commitment to be a part of the city of Hemet because of the Hemet Unified School District they participate in. It's a middle school and a high school together. I think they had 30 kids in their parade. They were outstanding to listen to them play. So I want to thank them for participating.
Well, it goes without saying that this wouldn't be what it is today if it wasn't for Stephanie Borders and all the volunteers that take part in this for the community. So thank you so much, Stephanie. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Now we have communications from the public. Anyone who wishes to address the council regarding items not on the agenda may do so at this time. As a courtesy, please, those that want to speak need to fill out a card with the city clerk. You have 3 minutes. And let's see what else we have. State law prohibits the city council from taking action or discussing any item not appearing on the agenda except for brief responses and statements made or questions posed to the public. We can refer them to staff for other resources and factual information or request staff to report back to them at a subsequent meeting. So, Sarah, do you have someone that wants to speak?
Will be Erica London, and she'll be followed by Roy McDonald.
And you'll have 3 minutes. 3 minutes to speak.
I need to bring the mic down a little short. My name is Erica London. I am the community relations person at My City Youth Center here in Hemet. We serve the youth of this valley from ages 8 to 18. We also have a teen parent program that allows parents who are 21 and under to come and get support with raising their children, their specific needs, nutritionals. We give out over 37,000 diapers a year. Everything that we do for people is through the generosity of people in this town. We've yet to tap into the city as an entity in hopes of bringing attention to the need. I'm here to just explain to you some of the circumstances of the children we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And I'm doing that in hopes that council, the mayor, and others in this city will take heart to the plight of our children. We can throw parades, which I love, Stephanie, don't be mad at me. We can build bike paths. We can champion skate parks, but it's an improper use of our time and resource. These children who are at our youth center just recently were skateboarding. 2 hours after all of my children left, somebody was murdered in front of our facility. We've had police shot at with bullets in our fences. We love our police department. They come to our beck and call. But it's time for this valley to say, we don't need a pretty bike path. We need someone who's going to ensure that these kids will be able to ride a bike sometime in the future. My kids, my youngest teen parent is 12 years old. I have kids who come to me whose parents are at home strung out on drugs on the floor. Kids who come to us simply to eat. And I know we're not tapping into the mass of the youth in this valley. Mrs. Hemmett so eloquently said that she'd like to see an intergenerational facility. I have a facility that this city does not utilize. And I simply wanted to bring to your attention, to the attention of the parties that are seated here, and I hope I'm doing it respectfully. I get a little passionate because I wipe tears from kids' eyes, and I tell them, you know, if you want to be the mayor, talk to me and I'm going to help that happen for you. I urge you all to take some time to come see what we're doing there and see what moves your heart. We asked for a skate park to be built. All we were given approval for was the box park. And we send our kids to Murrieta and Menifee. These are at-risk kids who are getting on buses and going to other towns when they could be here.
Thank you so much.
I thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Marie will be followed by Mary Ann Darrell.
Good evening, City Council, Madam Mayor, other council members. I'm here with the same platform. What is the city doing about the medium? There was a very interesting article, well-written article in the Valley Chronicle by Rusty Straight, the beginning of January. And in it, he mentions that the city will sue Caltrans. I would like to hear from the city that that's exactly what they're going to do. If you need an expression of support from the city, I'm ready to start petitioning. Start a petition and get many, many, many signatures to give you so that you have an expression from the citizens of how strongly they feel against this medium. I would like also for the City Council to give us a report at every meeting, what has happened on the medium. Weeks go by and we don't hear anything, any reports, any news. And I think that's really disgraceful. I think you should give us a report every meeting, what's happening with the city's efforts to stop that medium. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Marie.
City Council. Was Carly not qualified to be mayor? From the time she was voted into City Council, she has made herself available to the residents of Hemet. She started out with Coffee with Carly because she saw a need for residents to speak out and tell the City Council their concerns. Bonnie is the head of the Homeless Task Force, and yet Carly is the one going to Weston Park and walking the streets asking the homeless what the city can do to help them find programs and housing. Carly hands out her personal phone number to anyone who asks. Carly also showed a need to help the struggling businesses. She co-founded KnowWhereYourMoneyGoes.org so Hemet residents could be aware of all the programs that Hemet has to offer and stop giving to panhandlers that stand in front of the businesses, making people shop elsewhere. And that's just what we see. She seems to be the only one that cares where our tax dollars are being spent and asks questions. Carly works smarter and harder and with integrity more than anyone. You didn't do what was right for Hemet. You did what was right for you. You didn't vote for Carly to save Hemet. You did it to save yourselves and your friends. Was it knowing she would have done a better job than the ones before her, or was it fear? Thank you.
Okay, that was our last speaker. We'll move on to, I'm going to, before going to public hearing, I'm going to take a discussion and action item, the Measure U Oversight Board interviews and appointments.
So, council members, during the advertisement period for applications, 11 applications were received for the committee, 5 of which are already members on the committee. In the staff report that I gave you, I indicated that you could consider just interviewing the 6 and waive the ones that you've already interviewed, or you can interview all 11, whatever your pleasure is. In the last time that we did this, we had the members that were to be interviewed step outside and go into the room in the back. You can ask that be the case this time as well. After you interview them, then we will go over the voting process.
Okay. First, I want to ask if council would like to waive the interviews for the current applicants, for the ones that are already on the committee that have applied. The interviews. Yes? Okay. So all those currently on the Oversight Committee, we will waive those interviews because we've all interviewed you already. And we'll go on to those that have applied and not been on the committee. And so, Sarah, would you also like to indicate, because the issue that happened last year, how we're going to move forward with this?
Do you want to wait till we do the voting?
Yeah.
Let's do the interviews and then we'll go over that.
Okay, so if I could have the candidate, you want to take the candidates?
So yes, George Clark, Brian Flanagan, Dan Goodrich, Diane Graff, Sue Savage, and Kurt Walshon. If you will come with me. Actually, Mr. Clark, if you'd like to stay here, we'll let you step up to the podium, and you can be first. I'll come back and get you. So I don't see Mr. Clark here.
I'm here.
Oh, there he is.
Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do is each council member is going to ask a question. We're going to start with number 1 with Mayor Pro Tem Brown and move down the line.
Good evening, Mr. Clark.
Good evening.
It's ironic that we have Dick Clark here right after the New Year's celebration.
I was hoping that you noticed that in my, I thought on top, because if you would have called me George, I would have thought I was in trouble. It's about the only time I hear that.
So, you prefer to go by Dick?
I go by Dick.
Okay. Dick, could you tell us what's your understanding of Measure U? Are you familiar with what Measure U is?
I've done a little research into the history of how Measure U came about. I have been involved in at least 3 successful and 2 unsuccessful similar measures in where I came from in Humboldt County, all of which were either a tax base or some type of money base that was allotted for first responders and special programs. And that's how my understanding of this is.
Thank you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Do you understand and know the role of the Measure U Oversight Committee?
I've been on a similar committee that, and as I'm hoping not attended any of their meetings before that this would run by, is that the entity, fire department, police department, whoever that has a need for money out of that budget would make the request. It would come before the Measure U committee. It would be discussed, and as I understand, it would be recommendation would then go to the city council. Thank you.
Hello and welcome.
Thank you.
No, my voice isn't going that deep. Excuse me. It's good to see new faces. So thank you for stepping up and applying for this. My question is, do you know about the resolution number 4703 regarding the spending of Measure U funding?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Then I won't go any further.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's not an unusual answer, so don't be intimidated.
This is a learning experience. I've been brought up, and my wife, I think it's one of the reasons we're together, is we both believed in getting involved in our communities, and you're not going to learn exactly what that is until you jump in and find out.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, my question for you is, do you have any time constraints for meetings?
No, ma'am, I'm retired.
Awesome.
I have one heck of a remodel that's happening on our house,
I like that story.
and that's where my time's been.
Okay, very good. Do you want to give him like 2 minutes to say something that he wants to say?
Yeah. You can take us a few moments to tell us a little bit about yourself.
My wife and I, well, she has returned to the Hemet area. My wife is a member of the pioneering family that came with the Howard Rose Company, the roses throughout. Her dad passed away almost 2 years ago this Christmas. We inherited his home, and she's come home to Hemet. We're both retired. She's volunteering at the building department a couple days a week. And we're getting ready to be involved in the city we live in like we have always have up north. In fact, if you want to pencil in on the other boards and commissions, we've been asked to become board members for the San Jacinto Cemetery Board. And just to put a plug in for them out there, they are in need, and we'll be looking for other people too.
And I would hope that you would come visit the museum in the Santa Fe Depot.
Already
You've been there?
We've already been there. Our house, when you enter it, has a big wall that my wife wants to have. When the roses were first introduced, there was a huge poster for each, and there's some great ones there, and we're hoping to get them color reproduced.
Fantastic. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I know. Okay. Mr. Flanagan,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about yourself in about 2 minutes worth of information. Where
Okay.
we have the ability to read the staff report and see their applications. However, just give the community a little bit of information on yourself.
Okay, so I've been in this valley since 2008. I started a business here in 2011 called the NetMedic. I do on-site computer repair for businesses and residents of the valley. Since then, I've purchased a building locally, and I'm working out of that building, which is right over off of Taylor in Florida. And I purchased a house over near Del Webb by Harmony Elementary School. And I've really enjoyed being in this valley. I came from Orange County. When I came out here, I loved the fact that there was no traffic. There's animals over at Park Hill, which I always thought was cool. There used to be ostriches over there, which was neat. I have dealt with many people in this valley, businesses and residents, and I have a very optimistic view about the valley. I really think that everybody that I've actually met and dealt with has been wonderful and nice and helpful and generous, and I really like being here. And that's about it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, Russ.
Can you tell us what your understanding is of Measure U?
So Measure U is a proposition that passed. It's a 1% sales tax. That 1% sales tax goes into general fund. Previously, there was Measure Y, which didn't pass, which would have been specified for emergency services, but Measure U did pass, so I believe they only had to get 50%, which passed. And then it also was a requirement that there was an oversight committee to kind of oversee the funds spending and give recommendations to the council on spending of Measure U funds. It said that goes mainly towards fire and police.
Okay, thank you.
Do you understand the role of the Measure U Oversight Committee?
I believe I do, as far as there's basically the role of the committee would be to just oversee how the funds are spent, how the council spends them, to give recommendations. There's no actual power there, or you're not actually able to say you have to do this or you don't. You're just kind of giving your opinion on what you think is best.
Hi, Brian. Hello. Are you familiar, or do you know anything about resolution number 4703 regarding the spending of Measure U funds?
I do not know anything about resolution 4703 regarding the spending of funds.
Okay, thank you. And do you have any time constraints?
I do not. So I own my own business, so I make my own calendar. Other than, I'm a member of Rotary and the Lions Club, so Wednesday nights and Thursday nights I typically go to meetings, but none of those are set in stone. They're just things I like to do. So, yeah, that's it.
Thank you. That was easy. Huh.
Good evening.
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, honorable mayor, Dan Goodrich.
If you could give us about 2 minutes of your background and who you are for the public to know. We had the privilege of seeing an application, they didn't. So if you could give a little background of yourself.
So my name's Dan Goodrich. I'm the general manager at Sierra Dawn Estates. I've been in the Valley for about 18 years. I've been involved in multiple nonprofits, many service organizations, Rotary, Action Group, Ramona Humane Society. Been involved in different city commissions along the ways with economic development and ROCKS. And I'm just a advocate for the city.
Thank you. Russ.
Hi, Dan. Thanks for joining us this evening. What's your understanding of Measure U?
What is Measure U? Is that what you're asking? Measure U is a tax measure it's a general use tax measure that was passed by the city to fund city services that are dedicated, well, not restricted, dedicated through a resolution, I hope, for public safety. 1% on transactions with a 10-year sunset.
Thank you. Do you know and understand the role of the Measure U Oversight Committee?
Yeah, I believe so. I think the committee is chartered with meeting and overseeing some of the spending activity to make sure that the public dollars are being used for the correct purpose for public safety and reporting back to council.
Thank you.
Dan, are you familiar with, or do you know anything about resolution number 4703 that deals with the spending of Measure U funds, resolution of council?
Yeah, that's the resolution. I don't know by number, but I think that's the resolution that you're talking about, that because Measure U didn't get passed as a restricted fund like Measure E was set out to be, council is now passing a resolution annually for those tax dollars to be dedicated specifically for public safety.
Do you have any time constraints for meetings?
None at all. Actually, I've already spoke to my employer about it, and they're supportive of this particular position, if so honored to serve.
Great, thank you.
Is that it? Okay, thank you. Sorry, I will not be able to stick around for the vote. I've got to head to Ontario to pick up my other brother, so thank you for your time.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
Good evening.
Good evening. Diane, we have the privilege of seeing your application and who you are, but